The truth is, the next 10 years will shape the future of life on our planet. The direction we choose, the history we create, our survival is up to all of us. With your support, and by working alongside local communities,
the World Wildlife Fund for Nature is the largest conservation organization in the world. With offices and branches all around the globe, they want to create a world in which people and wildlife thrive together.
This is not about saving one panda, one forest, or one habitat. This is no act of charity. It's an act of survival.
In conservation parks around the world, indigenous people speak of suffering beatings, rape and murder at the hand of WWF-funded eco-guards.
At least 2 civilians died and 18 policemen were injured after a clash broke out between the police and local residents following an eviction drive in Assam's Kaziranga National Park. Police started firing and used tear gas to disperse the crowd. 30-year-old Anjuma Khatun and 25-year-old Mufakkar were killed in the clash.
What systematically goes wrong here is fortress conservation. Fortress conservation is a model based on the belief that biodiversity protection is best achieved by creating protected areas where ecosystems can function in isolation from human disturbance.
নিয়ন্ত্ৰক হিচাপে কাম কৰি আছে WWF এটা অদৃশ্য হাতৰা ইনভিজিবল এটা পাৱাৰ হৈ কাম কৰি থাকে
Local inhabitants are regarded as poachers, being tortured and sometimes even killed.
Any fishing or hunting by local tribes is labeled as poaching and combated by violence. They are evicted from their homes and the places their families have lived for generations. So how is this possible? An organization that strives to make the world a better place ends up funding human rights abuses. Let's start with looking at some of the history, which, surprise, surprise, is inherently colonialist.
The early national parks were colonial game preserves, where people, from Germany or France or the UK wanted to go and be able to hunt. What these things often had in common is that they disregarded the people who already had lived there for many, many generations.
WWF was founded in 1961 by, among others, Prince Philip of England and Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands. The two of them had a common hobby: hunting. This is Prince Philip in India hunting with his wife Queen Elizabeth. He killed a tiger and a rhino. Prince Bernhard went hunting in Central Africa a lot. This is him showing off some of his trophies: a cheetah, an antelope and an elephant. WWF is working to protect these wild animals. Human beings are seen as the biggest threat, because that's the Western way of looking at it, disregarding the efforts and the rights of indigenous peoples, who are the opposite of a threat.
But now what is worrying us as researchers is the mix and the complexity that has been brought by emerging trends in the world. One of which is the need and desire to address climate change and also transit to a greener economy. So we are worried, or we were worried by the fact that there is some kind of a new wave of land grabs in order to address these emerging challenges, particularly climate change.
Eco-colonialism is when developed and industrialized countries live at the ecological expense of other countries. Instead of doing more to reduce their own effect on the environment, rich countries turn to the global south. For example, in 2018, Germany banned the production of hard coal domestically, but still allowed its power plants to import hard coal from somewhere else, such as Colombia and South Africa. The global north imports tons of crops and tons of meat, yet this often happens at the expense of other countries such as Brazil and Indonesia, where forests rich in biodiversity are being cleared to farm the cattle and grow the grain needed to meet the Chinese and European demands. Just as the wealthy countries exploited nations across Africa, Asia and Latin America during colonialism, they are doing the same again and using the climate crisis as their justification.
We should have been talking about justice. We should have been talking about solidarity. We should be talking about our solutions. And instead, we wasted decades, really, with this picture of this white iceberg and white polar bear. And to me, it said everything about climate change, that this was a white lens. This was about how people in the global north saw and were able to really think about people in the global south, that we were just disposable.